Hello, hello, beautiful earth angels. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Earth Angels Unite. So happy to be here. This is podcast 131. Vulnerability is your superpower. So, vulnerability has nothing to do with weakness. It takes courage, self love, and a deep reserve of inner strength to stay open to your intuition, to the divine guidance, to your soul's inner nudges. Vulnerability is the ability to be open to love with wisdom and guidance of your soul in the angelic realm without the fear of repercussions, punishment, or judgment. So, hello, beautiful earth angels. Welcome to my Earth Angels Unite podcast. My intention with these episodes is to create a space of transformation and to gather Earth Angels and Cycle Breakers together. Those of you who are highly sensitive, highly intuitive, often the black sheep of the family, who are done with the cycles of pain, trauma, suffering, and lack. Together, we shine our heart light by healing the pain, the trauma, the issues, and the tissues. When we gather together, we are more powerful. So, my name is Jill Kempner, angel coach and author of my debut book, Receiving from Your Angels: 4 Practices to Heal Your Pain with Angel Love. And what I do is I help my clients, right, these highly sensitive, highly intuitive souls, to understand the angelic perspective of their pain, which opens this channel for healing. And you're the healer, right? My client is the healer, and I empower you with tools and mindset, right? The medicine, the messages, and the modalities. I walk by your side, right? And when I'm walking by your side, I'm walking you through the relax, release, receive process outlined in my debut book. And I blend Angel Reiki and IET so that you can transform your pain into wisdom, so you can deepen your connection to the angelic realm, to your divinity, right? So your soul and your angels. So I'm so happy to be here. This is a powerful portal day. So I want to welcome everyone who will be here live today, everyone who's going to connect with the replay. I know many of you do. Thank you so much. To be surrounded in a circle of unconditional love, empowerment, joy, and miracles. And so happy new moon solar eclipse, final day of that. This is the final day of the new moon eclipse. Happy equinox, autumnal equinox portal, happy fall, and happy Libra season. So there's a lot of portals that are open right now for us. And the new moon is a time of new beginnings, of reset, right? It's pressing the reset button. It's a time of refresh. And this eclipse energy, this eclipse season that we've been in, right? Eclipses are about bringing what was hidden or eclipsed from your consciousness to the surface. So understand that what was hidden could be the pain, the shadow, the wound, right? Or another aspect or layer of it that you hadn't seen before. I know what's coming up for me. I was like, what is this like nagging little like something? Because it's actually been a very gentle eclipse for me. I've been so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've been through so many intense initiations. I was like, wow, this is really like been like a gentle eclipse. And then I think it was like, yeah, it was today. Like I was like, ooh, that's what they're having me work on today. This little last echo of lack. And yet, as soon as I realized it, I started, working on it, using my tools. And then there was this beautiful shift. I got a huge download about my next set of podcasts, which is so exciting. So I was like, well, what do you want me to talk about next? Angels. And that just felt so good. So there's something else the angels wanted me to say about that. So, and thank you. So what was hidden, right? Could be the pain, could be the shadow. Hey, hi, Benicia, welcome. But it could also be the medicine, right? Another aspect of your gifts, of your blessings, of your medicine. So that's the positive, right? One of my cards is this is a blessing in disguise, right? So what is that blessing in disguise for you, right? What is something positive that's coming from all of that inner storm or inner turmoil energy that the eclipses and all of these portals can bring up for you? Okay, that's what you wanted me to say. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. Say hi if you're here. Good to see you. Namaste. So, vulnerability, right? What did we say? It's the ability to be open to love, wisdom, and guidance of your soul in the angelic realm without fear of repercussions, punishment, or judgment. Like, oh, just imagine if you could just have your heart open and your mind open, right? Not afraid to ask for help or support or be tender when we need to be emotional when we need to be. If you knew you would never be judged, that there was no punishing energy, that there was no repercussions. That's the truth. So so vulnerability is choosing to stay soft when life tempts you to harden. And that's what I'm going to talk about in my personal story today. It's trusting that your openness will be met with compassion, not condemnation. Is that beautiful? So, for someone with a trauma history like me, vulnerability can feel scary. Much of my early life, vulnerability felt dangerous. Growing up in a chaotic and stressful home environment where there was abuse, neglect, and instability, right? All of those were constants. I built up protectors to survive. And I learned, right, to show anger, judgment, toughness on the outside, even on the inside when I was hurting. When on the inside I was hurting. So I didn't feel safe to be soft, to cry, to admit how overwhelmed I really was. Um, there just wasn't an opportunity for that. So after my father's tragic murder at age 11, that lesson only deepened. My child self came to believe that vulnerability meant exposure, weakness, and risk. So I thought that if I showed my hurt, I would invite more pain. So I armored up. Let me know if that resonates with you. If you felt like you had to armor up because of different traumas in your journey. I just have so much compassion for that pattern. So in my 20s, I'm going to drink a sip of water. In my 20s, oh, thank you for that heart. I had what I call storm energy. And this brought, right, both joy and grief. So in 2 years' time, I got engaged, bought a house, married my soulmate, lost my father-in-law, and became pregnant with my first child. And my vulnerability surfaced. naturally in these transitions, right? Especially during pregnancy and motherhood. But instead of leaning into it, I hardened, right? I often hardened. I tried to stay strong and keep it all together and to not let anyone see how deeply I was struggling. I used to I don't know if you can relate to this, but it was like I was the rock in the family. So all of these experiences were like cracking me open, right? Marrying my soulmate, my father-in-law passing away just months after we got married, and then finding out I was pregnant days after my father-in-law passed. Giving birth to my first child naturally, which that's a whole nother story. Maybe I'll share that one day. Actually, I'm going through another initiation because my firstborn, I have two children, Claire and Liam. Tomorrow, Claire is going to be 20. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have a 20-year-old. So exciting. Feel like it's like, right, she's entering a new decade. And when our children go through initiations, we go through initiations. So it's like, beautiful, right? All of these events kept cracked me open, and everything that was inside that was unresolved, unprocessed, unloved came up for healing. So this, after my daughter was born, that was a rough year for me. Some people might say, oh, it was postpartum depression, and all of that. And I think for me, it was PTSD. It was undiagnosed, untreated PTSD. And when my root chakra opened and I gave birth, all the things, right, that I hadn't processed from my chaotic and stressful childhood, from my father's death, and then even the other initiations, smaller events that had happened. Right? And there's no, the angels are saying something. I was going to do a whole podcast on this about minimizing our pain. That's one of the things we do as like tough warriors, right? Well, my pain isn't as bad as like what other people are going through, and we minimize what we're going through. And actually, the angels are saying this to me right now. That's suppression, rather than really honoring our true experience. Wow, I love that. Thank you, angels. So it wasn't until my dark night of the soul, so for me, I ended up in the psych hospital because all the things that I hadn't looked at were just there in my face. And I didn't have, at the time, the resources, the support to handle it. So I ended up in the psych hospital. And the time after that, actually just had my 19-year anniversary of the psych hospital. It's like, whoa. Right? The time after the psych hospital was what at the time, I didn't know this, but later when looking back, right, reviewing the experiences that I went through, I was like, oh, that was my dark night of the soul. And I'm not saying I never had enough. I feel like I had a couple mini dark nights of the soul after, but that was like the big one that was like, oh my gosh, I need to make a lot of changes here. And so, I had to face all of the emotional pain, the shame, the judgment, the grief that I had been holding on to, the fear. And talk about needing to be vulnerable after the hospital because of what sort of the events that led me to the hospital. And then coming out of the hospital, I actually had to have supervision with my daughter for like 30 days or something like that. And I had to ask a lot of people for help. On top of wondering what the heck just happened to me. How did I go from this to the psych hospital? And that thankfully my dark night of the soul was only 9 months. It was 9 months of like I don't know, feeling lost, feeling confused, feeling emotionally overwhelmed. Let me know if you've ever experienced anything like that before. So, vulnerability wasn't a liability, it wasn't weakness, it was a portal. Allowing myself to be vulnerable, even when it terrified me, became the doorway back to my soul's truth, to deeper healing, and to the angel's love. So, I want to talk about vulnerability, what it's not, what it is. Listening to the angels, I thought that they were saying something. And so, why this episode came forward was I can't remember. It's so funny because I get these ideas, I get inspired, and then sometimes I don't remember exactly what it was from, but I knew it had something to do with like someone had asked me for help and they were like, God, it's so hard, to ask for help, but I'm really, I need to do this, and I was so proud of them. And I remember, and I was proud of them for asking for help because, you don't ask, what do we know? But I also felt their angels celebrating how proud they were of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. Vulnerability is our superpower because it allows us, again, right, to be open, to be tender, right? That pain, and I talk about in my book over and over again, right? The pain is the portal, right? When we apply love and compassion and healing to that pain, to that portal. Does that make sense? So, vulnerability is not staying in unhealthy energy dynamics, right? Like self pity or self enabling or indulging, right? We're actually, all of that are other layers of protectors. Vulnerability is not openness without discernment. So there has to be discernment is one of the ingredients in the vulnerability superpower mix, cake, soup, whatever you want to call it. This is really important, especially for us highly sensitive, highly intuitive souls who I'm here to serve, who I'm here to support, right? Vulnerability is not being a doormat, a people pleaser, or an over giver, right? It's not self-sacrifice. And who do we need to be vulnerable with first? Ourselves, right? Self-honesty is one of the ingredients in the renew your devotion practice, and that's commitment. So we're in this new moon portal, right? And new moon, new season, new astrological sign, like, whoa, all new energy. And with all that, there is this opportunity to reset, redevote, refresh our intentions, our accessibility, I just heard, and our ability to be vulnerable. Okay, download. Thank you, angels. And I love I love every day is a beauty and a joy, but the portals, right? The new moons, the eclipses, the full moons, all of these portals open up our intuitive channels, right? Open up our ability to receive healing, downloads, clarity. So I created this podcast to encourage you. And we're going to ask a question at the end, right? To step up your vulnerability. What would that look like for you? So, vulnerability is not weakness. It's not staying stuck, quiet, or hidden so you don't get hurt. So, why is vulnerability your superpower? Because it requires self-reflection, self-compassion, and courage. It takes courage to be open and tender after we've been hurt, after we've been traumatized, after we've experienced, you know, deep pain, whether it's physical or emotional pain. And that's what I help my clients with. There is the tenderizing that happens in the work with the angels, right? There is increased vulnerability, which if you've had trauma like me can feel scary in the beginning, like, whoa, 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 I don't know if I can be vulnerable. I don't know if I can be this tender, this open, this vulnerable. But tenderness, like gentleness, increases intuition. So if we can get even that one step forward in being more vulnerable, we're going to be more intuitive. And that's how we're being led by the divine, is through our intuitive channels. That's why I'm so committed to that. I have a retreat next Sunday, October 5th, in person at Grace Lake. It's a women's retreat. It's called Angels and Intuition, Activate Your Five Clairs. I am so excited about this. I'm creating a safe, sacred, and sovereign space for you to open up your intuitive channels to the next level. So whether you're like totally new, like, I don't know anything about angels and intuition, but it sounds interesting, or I've been doing this for decades, I welcome all levels to join. We're half full. The retreat is half full right now. And I know I was saying that for a reason, just because of the new moon and I'm getting all these downloads and our intuitive channels are open. But something that came to me this morning when I was praying about the podcast and just getting ready for the day was like, I am so committed to helping you come out of hiding, to wake up, to share your gifts, to share your medicine, to share your light, to share your intuitive downloads. Like, we need the earth angels, the cycle breakers, the empaths, the light workers to be online right now. And part of that is looking at what's stopping us from doing that, looking at our fears, looking at our samskaras, right? The pain body, the traumas, through the eyes of love. We're not doing this alone. And why not just sprinkle in the relax, release, receive process? That's, it's like, it doesn't have to be scary. It's actually more scary to keep it hidden, to keep it suppressed. That long-held fear, that long-held trauma, that long-held pain. Does that make sense? Let me know if that resonates. Okay, back to vulnerability. Why is it a superpower, right? Sorry. Right? Because it's a willingness. I know when I talked about the angels, it was like a beginning part of my book were 3 levels to working with the angels. And I'm trying to remember, I know willingness was part. I think it's acceptance, willingness, and receiving. So this willingness to stay open and balanced, using discernment moment by moment to know what's right for you. Right? Is this in alignment for me? Right? And then asking your body, asking your heart, asking your gut, right? The clairsentience in your belly. Vulnerability cultivates inner strength. It allows you to stand in your truth while keeping your heart open, right? This is a superpower. So we're clearing the old, and I know Brené Brown has done such an amazing job of talking about vulnerability and the power of it and the medicine of it and the potency of it. I'm talking about it from the angelic perspective, right? Vulnerability this is really important, right? It's grounded in knowing you are protected by your divinity, by your soul alignment, by your angelic alignment, by your source alignment. And you're safe to ask for help with everything. What if you just tomorrow morning decided to wake up and say, I'm going to ask for help with everything I need? All the little persnickety day-to-day stuff that I struggle with, right? Tech stuff and bigger stuff like relationships, work stuff, like all of it. What if you just woke up tomorrow and said, I'm going to ask for help with everything? Yeah, your protectors might be a little bit nervous about that, but when you start to see the miracles unfold, the blessings unfold, they'll start to get online. And then if you need help, you're like, I want to be more vulnerable, but I don't know how. Know that there's support in healing the parts that are afraid to be vulnerable, right? Healing the trauma, healing the pain body. And that's what I do with my clients. I mean, talk about vulnerable. I get on here live every single week and talk about the hard things I've been through. And I know that that's what helps people, right? That's what inspires people. That's what supports people in being able to be vulnerable in their own journey. So that's the superpower, right? Vulnerability is an ultimately deep trusting practice, right? We're trusting in ourselves, our soul, our angels, and in life. So vulnerability is a superpower because it's how we receive love, wisdom, and guidance from the angels and allow it to reshape us from the inside out, which I love. So some client transformations, right? Because I'm just listening because I thought the angels were saying something about that. Huh. So one client bravely shared her story of abuse during our work together. And that single act of vulnerability cracked her open, right? Cracked the shell of shame and allowed angelic healing to pour in. And then pain gone. Another client admitted how deeply overwhelmed they felt as a caregiver, right? Naming the exhaustion opened the door to the angels, to her angels, to guiding her forward toward the support she needed after like years of resisting it, right? And then all this support, all this love, all the resources, all the abundance flooded in. A third client feared asking for financial help, carrying so much shame around money. When they vulnerably voiced that fear in the coaching, it was a turning point for abundance, for relief. So my coaching programs create the safety nets, right? To allow you to be as open, as vulnerable, as tender as you need to be, right? We're supported by the unconditional love of the divine, of the relax, release, receive process, of your own strength. So all of these clients discovered that vulnerability wasn't weakness. It was the exact superpower they needed to step into their next level of freedom, liberation, mastery in their own journey. Like, how beautiful is that? So I'm just tuning in. Oh, thank you, angels. So I was just listening for a minute. So if you're ready, I invite you, if you're ready, right, to be vulnerable and to receive to understand your vulnerability is a superpower, is a gift, is part of your medicine even. I invite you to schedule a free angelic pain relief consult. I absolutely love sharing my medicine in that way in this free consult. So here's what I'm confident about. I'm confident that your angels know how to heal your pain, whatever it is, whatever trauma, whatever, physical issue, autoimmune, chronic pain, whatever fear, your angels know how to heal it. I'm confident of that. The second thing I'm confident about is I have the messages, the medicine, and the modalities to empower you to receive that answer. So, in that consult, which is a heartfelt, compassionate space where I'm listening to you and your angels, and I'm offering what your pain is really about, right? It's often not what you think it is, right? In a safe space. I will share what your angels are saying about your pain, the angelic perspective of your pain, which already creates relief, creates clarity. It's like, oh, wait, this hip pain is really connected with that. And there's a medicine for it. So I can be relieved of that pain. So I can go move and have fun and be with my children and my grandchildren and all the things. Like, wow, yes. In that consult, I help you get clear on the fuel, on the intention, that healing energy intention that will guide you forward on your path. You leave with your fuel and an archangel to support that, right? To walk with you step by step, forward and back, right? And so if you're done with this cycle, this is the time, right? We're in this universal 9 year to say yes to yourself. If this is something, and I understand how vulnerable, right, it is to consider hiring a coach, to open up about that pain you may have been holding on to for decades, or sort of afraid, like, I think I kind of know what it is, but I'm too afraid. It's like, you don't have to be afraid of what that pain is, right? Because the angels are going to shine their loving light, their wise, compassionate light on it, and that already shifts it, right? So if you're done with pain and ready for relief, I invite you to this free consult. And then, if we're a good fit, I'll share the details of my coaching program with you. So it's an incredibly valuable, really priceless offering. And I only have a couple of openings left in, oh wait, there's none left in September. I was like, wait, maybe I have one in September, but there's several for October. I'd love to set that up with you. I'll put the consult link in the comments. So thank you. All right, let's do just a quick inner journey. So closing your eyes and just taking a few cleansing breaths. Connecting with your angels right here, right now. Placing your hand on your heart, the gateway of your angel's love. Feeling your breath anchor you into your body, into your heart, and deep, deep, deep into the earth. Feeling so rooted. Invite all of your angels here. Feel how much they love you, celebrate you, honor you. Exactly as you are right now. Nothing you have to do more or less to receive their love. Breathe and relax your shoulders, your back, your belly. And we feeling Archangel Michael here with his royal blue light, guiding, surrounding, directing, and protecting you for your highest good and highest healing. And knowing exactly what cord, what contract, what vow needs to be cut, severed, released so you can be free, vulnerable, open to your next level of healing and mastery. And so with our hands on our heart, with deep gratitude, we ask, loving angels, where are you inviting me to be more vulnerable in my life right now? Where are you inviting me to be more vulnerable in my life right now? Loving angels, where are you inviting me to be more vulnerable in my life right now? Now, here's the invitation. Trust what you see, feel, hear, sense, and know. Right? It may be an image, a word, a memory, a cell, a smell, a feeling of release. And just trust it. I trust what I see. I trust my vulnerability is a superpower. So affirm, I trust my vulnerability is a superpower. I trust my vulnerability is a superpower. I trust my vulnerability is a superpower. And so it is. So what I felt or heard in that moment, I kind of feel like I might do it again too, is with my children, actually. So that's what I heard. And I was like, oh, I love that. I might not have thought of that if I didn't ask the question in that way, right? So I'm going to pull a card for you from the Angel Guide deck by Kyle Gray. Love him so much, one of my amazing teachers. How is it that you're trusting your vulnerability is a superpower to the next level this week? Here's your guardian angel message. I love it. Learning experience. That's perfect, right? Because if we can view it through the eyes of our inner child, from the eyes of I'm just learning here, right? There's no right, there's no wrong. It's not like good or bad, right or wrong. It's a learning experience. And we can clear whatever heaviness or shame or pain. It's like, well, lesson. It's so interesting because I was feeling that in the meditation, is something that I ask every session with every client. And we actually spend time both consciously asking this question, what lesson am I learning from this pain? Right? So what is the loudest pain that you're having right now? Right? Whether it's physical or emotional, the loudest samskara, the loudest trauma, and ask this question, right? It's vulnerable to ask because we're afraid of the answer, but the answer is going to bring us relief. And then I ask it when they're in a relaxed state, what lesson am I learning from this pain? So that we're really accessing both the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Right? So I love that this came, right? Every experience is a learning experience. And when we view it from that, there's this space of like neutrality, this space of openness, right? Like think about beginner's mind, right? Okay, I'm just learning. Like everything I'm going through is a learning experience, right? I cannot tell you how much I've grown this year by setting really crystal clear intentions and by taking every good thing that's happened, every heavy, painful thing that's happened, and turning it into a learning experience. So that's what I feel like your angels are saying this week for you. I love that so much. Tonight, I'm going to be at locally Arlington Heights Sacred Ground for the Healing Angels Community Meditation. I would love to see you. We're going to be doing the souped up, super powered Renew Your Devotion meditation, because it's all about renewing your devotion in the new moon, in the new season, in the new astrological sign. So I'd love to see you and your angels there. It's from 7 to 8 p.m. And then my women's retreat, like I said, I was talking about it earlier, because we started talking about intuition, right? And keeping that open, right? There's a vulnerability in having our intuition open. And we have to know that. And it's courageous, right? It's brave. It's not for the faint of heart. Yet it's the most trustworthy guidance we can receive, right? So that's what I feel like I'm doing, is empowering earth angels, empowering this particular retreat as women to step into their next level of discernment and trust in their intuitive gifts, right? In a safe, sacred, and sovereign space. So I'd love to see you there if that calls to you. And I'd also love to see you in that consult. So I hope you have a really beautiful start to the fall season and that this teaching and energy and download served you. If it does, feel free to like and share this on your page. I would love that. And I'll send the replay in my newsletter. Okay. I love you all. Have a great week. See you soon. I'll be back next week. Namaste.